Hey guys, what's good? Welcome to Zooty Pickups. In today's episode, we will be talking about the Nike X Acronym Lunar Force 1s. So these guys released as part of the AF 100 campaign during Complex Con back in November of 2017. The shoes were available more widely to the rest of the world in December, and that is when I got myself a pair. So these shoes retail for $200 US. I don't think there was like too much hype behind it, but there was a decent amount of hype and it did sell out in most places. I'm not going to talk about the AF 100 collection because I covered it in my previous video of the Just Dawn AF 1 highs. However, I will say this, out of all 5 shoes in the AF 100 collection, these acronyms are probably my favorite one. I'll talk about why in just a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about the history of this shoe. This shoe isn't really a new silhouette for the AF 100 program. Nike and Acronym have had this shoe for a couple of years now. I think the original version of this shoe, I'm gonna try to find a picture and throw it up here. It has a black zipper right here, and the entire back of the shoe is dipped in this bright orange plastic. Definitely a very standout, like in your face type shoe. But for the AF 100 collection, they went back to the drawing board and came out with a super simplistic white on white version of the same shoe. So let's talk a little bit about the design philosophy behind this shoe. So if you know Acronym and if you know Errol's and Hugh, they're all about designing functional, practical garments. All the Acronym pieces have a bunch of zippers and straps and whatnot. And while those have a aesthetic component to them, the primary purpose of all that is to essentially make your life easier. It's to make more practical and wearable clothing. They all have some sort of functionality behind it. It's all super utilitarian. And you can kind of see that in this shoe. According to an interview with Errolson, he did say that when he was approached by Nike to help design this shoe, he didn't want to really alter the silhouette of the Air Force One because that was a classic. Instead, he decided, how can I improve the usability of this? And he thought, well, getting the shoe on and off is usually a pain in the ass. I think I'm going to try to improve on that. So he put a giant zipper here on the lateral side. So when you're trying to put the shoe on, you can just unzip, slide your foot in, and zip right back up. And that's it. He also opted to go with the Lunar sole for more comfort and wearability. While the original midsole for the Air Force One wasn't the most uncomfortable thing, the thing came out in 1981. It was actually the first Nike basketball shoe to have Nike Air in it. So it was pretty dated technology, and I think in terms of current cushioning, it doesn't even really meet the standards anymore. So this replacement of the midsole with Lunarlon was also a very welcome addition and really helps with the overall wearability and comfort of the shoe. So apart from the main two differences, aka the zipper and the midsole, there's a lot of other small details peppered all throughout the shoe. And you know how they say the devil is in the details? Well, that is definitely true in this case. So the main thing we notice here is that the paneling on the lateral side is slightly different than what you would see on a normal Air Force One. So if I turn the shoe around to the medial side, you can see that the paneling here is that of a traditional Air Force One. However, you can see on this side that this extra patch has been added and this rear patch has been slightly altered to kind of let the zipper flow a little bit better. Also, the zipper itself has these raw edges, and it gives this shoe this very prototype-esque and unfinished look, very similar to what Virgil Abloh was doing with the off-white Nike shoes. Actually, I think Virgil Abloh got a lot of inspiration for his The 10 collection from these shoes that Acronym has done with Nike. They also didn't want to leave the edges of these zippers just bland and boring, so they actually opted to add these additional leather patches. The leather patch on the front even has a little nylon strap attached to it. The leather patch on the back has a little like pull tab section. So this is nice. You can actually grab onto it and operate the zipper like so. So it even has a practical purpose. Moving on to the swoosh on the lateral side, you can see that the swoosh is actually kind of in the way of the zipper. So instead of moving the swoosh down and altering the original silhouette of the Air Force One, Air Olson decided to actually make the top of the swoosh disconnected. So the top of the swoosh is not stitched onto the shoe. So the zipper can actually operate around the swoosh without interfering. So on either side of the swoosh right here, you can see some stitching where it holds the flap in place. And you can see that same stitching around the swoosh on Virgil Abloh's iteration of the Air Jordan 1. If we open up the zip all the way, we can see that inside the shoe, you see some additional branding. It says Acronym right there at the top of the zipper. It is just debossed right into the leather. And if we open up the shoe, you can see that there is a giant leather tongue panel to keep your foot in place. I initially thought that if I opened up the zipper, the entire shoe would just like split open, but that is not the case. The top of the shoe just kind of splits open, the part where the laces are. However, the inside of the shoe remains in place. The inside is actually held in place by these elastic straps on either side. I'd say it's very reminiscent to like a Vans slip-on almost. So essentially inside this shoe, there's kind of like a inner shoe that's kind of like a slip-on. That slip-on portion goes all the way down to the toe box, stitches on right here, and seamlessly transitions into the toe box. Inside the shoe, you can't really even feel that transition. It just feels very smooth. Speaking of the inside of the shoe, the entire inside of the shoe is lined with this very supple leather. It feels great on the hand, and as you can see, they really thought of everything because they perforated the hell out of this leather to help with breathability, because they know that leather is not a very breathable material. So, you know, the guys at Acronym, they really thought of everything to enhance wearability. Moving to the back of the shoe, you can see that the entire heel area is covered in this kind of like heat shrink plastic type material. I've seen a lot of people say that this is like wrapped in patent leather. It is definitely not patent leather. It's some sort of like plastic wrap. And if you look closely, you can kind of see the shape of the original panels that were under this plastic. They still kind of remain. So this glossy plastic material on the back of the shoe, it definitely adds a little bit of texture variety because the entire shoe is kind of made up of this same type of leather. And I really like the kind of futuristic look that it gives. And if you look on the back here, you see that the Nike Air logo is printed on instead of embroidered on. And you can also see that there is a pull tab. So this is like another one of those things that, you know, doesn't exist on the Air Force One, but it's here to help with convenience. It helps you put your shoe on easier. Everything's kind of there for a reason. One kind of cool little design point that I feel like goes unnoticed most of the time is this sock liner print right there. So if you look down there, you see a silver Acronym X Nike print, but you can see that the print is going diagonally. This diagonal line kind of matches up to where this plastic dip is from here all the way to here. And you can see that it kind of goes diagonally like so to match up with the plastic dip. That's a cool little design touch right there. On the tongue, you have a woven label that says Nike Air Lunar Force 1 Acronym. And on the inside, it says Swoosh Acronym LF1 ACR German Veneering. Not exactly sure what German veneering is. I think I'm gonna look that up after the end of this video. So anyhow, that pretty much wraps up all the features of this shoe. Overall, I am super happy I was able to get myself a pair of these. You know, I just couldn't pull the trigger on the original Lunar Force 1s. The colors were just like way too bright for me. I didn't think I could really pull those off. However, this version of the Air Force 1s, it just adds that little extra bit of flair to help you kind of like stand out from the rest of the crowd while being able to kind of like subtly flex. And besides, I love the fact that this is such a functional and practical and easy shoe to wear. Just everything just works really well. It's easy to put on. It's comfortable. I mean, looks good. What more can you ask from a sneaker? So yeah, I am going to throw these on feet I'm actually going to film myself putting them on and off so you guys can see how the zipper works. And yeah, and if you guys were looking at shoes to buy from the AF100 collection, this is the one. Trust me, this is it. This is the one that you'll actually wear. So that concludes my overview for the Nike Acronym Lunar Force 1s. I hope that video was informative, and once again, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.